What's a good internet? My name is attackslug and welcome to my Royal Rumble 2020 predictions video. Let me know who you think's gonna win down in the comments below. As of Saturday morning, we have 8 matches announced. I don't know, they haven't said what might be on that kickoff, on that pre-show, so here are what is announced, and here's what I can predict on a Saturday morning. First and foremost, we have the return of the Celtic Warrior Sheamus going one-on-one with Shorty G, aka Chad Gable. And when have they ever brought somebody back as a returning superstar with a grand return and have them lose their first match back on pay-per-view? That makes no sense. They could do it. They could have the surprising, shocking upset from Shorty G because that tells a better story in the long run. But come on. Sheamus is going to win. Bella! The United States Championship will be on the line when Andrade, your current U.S. champion, takes on Humberto Carrillo. And that should be a barn burner, as they tend to have. Those guys are both really good, but I don't see, if you had Andrade thoroughly and totally trounce Rey Mysterio, why would he then immediately lose to Humberto? And Rey has been on record saying, you know what? I want to have a mask versus hair match at WrestleMania. They should do that. But right here, I think Andrade defeats the returning Humberto, and perhaps we get a triple threat down the line. But right now, I think Andrade still retains that U.S. title. Now then, Roman Reigns is doing double duty at the Rumble, and so is his opponent, Baron Corbin. So their actual match is going to be a Falls Count Anywhere match. And my only real prediction for this match is they'll make fun of the whole baseball cheating thing because of the arena they are in with the banging on the trash can type stuff. So that's going to get some kind of a reference in this match. But other than that, I'm not sure why it's Falls Count Anywhere. Certainly the Usos going to get involved, and Rude and Ziggler going to get involved. It's going to be nonsense. It's going to go all over the building. But don't bet against the big dog. I think the story they're going to tell here over the course of the evening is that, oh, Roman is so beat up and bruised and whatever else from barely surviving this match with Corbin. How could he ever win the Rumble? And then, you know, we'll get there. So, Roman Reigns beats Baron Corbin, and hopefully, fingers crossed, this gets us away. No more Roman and Baron. Please, I beg of you. Much like I'd like to see the end of Lashley and Rusev. Please be the end of this. Anyhow. Manhandle slam and a 2, and not even enough. Alright. Your SmackDown Women's title. That is your champion Bayley versus Lacey Evans. And while this face turn for Lacy has been interesting, they've definitely added more depth to her character, I just don't see her as champion quite yet. So I would say with Sasha Banks lurking in the background and Lacy not really having any friends, I would say Bayley, by hook or by crook, retains this title in this match. Which brings us to this match. On the other side, on the Raw Women's title. And that is your reigning, defending, undisputed champion for the better part of a year now, Becky Lynch, the man, taking on the one woman she could not beat and lost to at the Rumble last year, Asuka, the Empress of Tomorrow. Now, when it comes to Becky and Asuka, it certainly seems to me like they're trying to keep the belt on Becky from Mania to Mania. A 1-year reign for the man, which is fine. She's super over. That makes sense, right? So I don't see her losing to Asuka in this match, even with Kyrie in the background lurking, etc., etc. I see Becky Lynch retaining that Raw title and perhaps losing it at WrestleMania would make the most sense if I was going to book that. So I will say that Becky will retain that belt in a great match, should be, against Asuka. And then that brings us to more interesting questions with the winner of the Women's Royal Rumble. But we aren't there yet, right? We aren't there yet. So, your Universal title match. This match. The Fiend versus Daniel Bryan in a strap match. And again, much like Becky, I don't see The Fiend losing the belt before WrestleMania. So what does that mean for Bryan? It means he's going to get whipped with that strap over and over, have a bunch of welts on his body, and you can't see them because of the stupid red lights. So that's going to be a thing. Considering how they've booked The Fiend in matches, and considering how a strap match is usually booked, that's going to be a real difficult match to get over with this crowd, especially with these stupid red lights. But moving on to the most... Really? Really? I can't even talk for 5 minutes, really? Yeah, okay, D-Bry. But let's get to the reason folks watch this show is the Royal Rumble matches themselves. So your women's Royal Rumble match only has like 7 or 8 announced competitors. I think maybe 9 by last count from last night on SmackDown. But there aren't that many in a field of 30. Only announcing like 7 or 8 is not a good look. So, plenty of surprises. That's great. But that makes it just that much harder to predict what's going to happen in this match moving forward. So, that being said, who do I think is going to win? I think the odds-on favorite is Shayna Baszler. Because, think of it this way. If Becky wins, and she should, at this show, then who is left on Raw that makes sense for Becky to have a big match with at WrestleMania? Like, who else is worthy on that roster on Raw to challenge Becky at Mania? Alright, maybe Charlotte. Obviously, always that argument, hey, it could be Charlotte. But I think that Shayna Baszler makes the most sense for a final call-up from NXT. I know she said, oh, I'm going to stay here, I'm going to be Shayna 3-time, but no. Look, that's misdirection. I think Shayna in the Rumble, she wins, challenges Becky, because when they had Becky and Bayley and Shayna beat Bayley. She never beat Becky. So that gets that whole thing running towards WrestleMania and makes the most sense to me. However, there is one wild card in this matchup. Grand Champion Batista. There is one wild card that could happen. You never know. It's wrestling, and that would be Ronda Rousey. If Ronda Rousey is in this Rumble, and there has been no indication that she might be, but if they kept it a big secret, and it was a surprise, and she was in here, then yes, Ronda wins the Rumble. Ronda versus Becky, one-on-one, finally, at Mania. That sells tickets. That gets ratings. But we don't know, right? So, if Ronda's not there, it's Shayna. If she is there, it's Ronda. And that's... Whoa! Relax there! Drew Gulak, the Magic Man. This game's still broken as hell. Anyhow, that brings us to the men's Royal Rumble match. And this one has the opposite problem of the ladies. And that is they've announced 27 of your 30 competitors in this match. That's too many. I like a surprise. I like having legends appear. I like having guys that aren't announced appear because you don't know and you wonder, alright, well, who's going to be there? Who's going to do a thing? And that's a cool thing to have. And this year, only 3 spots are going to be a surprise. So, as someone who wants to see Brock in the ring with Keith Lee, with Walter, with Matt Riddle, like, that's already 3. But then the rumors of Edge appearing. What about CM Punk? Not gonna happen, but hey, you never know. What about Booker T? He said he'll be there, but what if he's not, right? So, when you announce 27, and granted, somebody could get attacked on the ramp, walking into the ring by somebody else. That could happen. It's happened before. Nia Jax, looking at you. So, yeah. I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, but again, the odds-on favorite and the one that makes the most sense is going to be Roman Reigns. So I think, like most folks, I'm calling for Roman Reigns to win this match. Now, Brock is number 1, and that's the other big story of this match, is that you assume whoever tosses out Brock, whether that be a John Cena, whether that be a Cain Velasquez, whether that be an Edge. You don't know. Whoever gets Brock out is going to fight Brock at Mania, or hey, maybe perhaps at the Saudi show. I don't know, right? But that to me is the other story of this match, and how long Brock's going to be in this Rumble is the other story of this match, and I'm very, very curious. It could be Brock's longest match in a long time, unless we had that important guy who gets him out at like number 3. Like, that could also happen early on in the match. Now, there is a thing you could say here, right? You could say, well, what if Roman gets Brock out and then wins, and we all assume that Roman's gonna fight Bray, but then Brock keeps attacking Roman, and then he goes to Raw, and that's honestly better than having him beat The Fiend, to be honest, because people would get mad at that particular booking, I can already tell. Anyhow, that is my Royal Rumble predictions video. Again, who do you think's gonna win? Leave it down in the comments. I'm attackslug. I'll see you next time, right here on this channel. More videos, sub for those, and I'm out.